Hello, hello. Look at my hair. What's going on? Yeah, live on YouTube. I haven't done this in a long time. I just thought it'd be fun to get on YouTube again. How's everybody doing? Hello, John Neo. Let him off. What's he talking about? Jason Green. Hey, Dublin. Eileen W. How you doing? Central PA, USA. Oh, guys, loads of people. Kim Toplitz. North Carolina. Love North Carolina. God, it's beautiful, isn't it? Jason Green, Watford, Hertfordshire. Belinda G, gorgeous. Peter Duran, how you doing, my friend? Peter, how's it going? Have you got nothing better to do? Oh, Willie Bracken's here. Hi, Willie. How are you, mate? We should hook up for a beer sometime, Willie. Jane Kerr, excited to be two of my favorite podcasters. What? Joe Rogan and Roseanne Barr are not coming on this show. What are you talking about? Rock on, Tommy. S. Anthony. Do you remember that? Rock on, Tommy. I used to love that. Anybody that remembers any 70s, 80s comedies is all right in my book. Do you know what I mean? That's quite funny, actually, because I got this. I don't know if I've told this story before, but this is a Monte Cristo. And this was given to me by Harry H. Corbett's son. Remember Harry H. Corbett? You dirty old man. You right outside. Well, his lovely son gave me this at the film premiere of Where You At With in Birmingham last year. And he said his dad told him to give it to me. So I'm never going to smoke this. This is from Harry H. Corbett from Beyond the Grave. Thank you so much for that. Beautiful. I had quite a few cigars recently. I got a big box of them the other day. And I said that I tried to switch to cigars to stop smoking a long time ago. And I was recounting this story the other day. So why don't you smoke something harsh so you smoke less? So I bought a box of cigars and smoked the whole packet in a day. I'm very, very. I have an echo. Do I, Jane Kerr? Do I? Do I? This generation, Sean. I don't know. That's probably you, not me. Tanya Chambers. Hello. I've not seen you in ages. How are you? Serena Laidlow from Brighton. Oh, I love Brighton. Not been there for a long time. Oh, Moni 54 Soleil. Hey, yes. Hello from Bayonne, France. Bonjour. Ça va? I go into this cafe every morning and lovely couple run it, and they're from Mauritius. And we get on really well because I think I'm the only person in Ireland that they know who's also been to Mauritius. At one point, I was the unofficial crypto advisor to the Mauritian government. Can you believe that? Probably not. Probably people go, no, he's a liar. No, it's true. And we speak bad French to each other every morning. It's hilarious. It's like hello, hello. Excuse me, I was just pissing by. And then I sort of break into... it's like whenever I do hello, hello, I break into Peter Sellers. Do you remember Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau? Far better than Steve Martin. How they cast Steve Martin as Inspector Clouseau is one of the biggest mysteries of my life. Topped only by casting Jodie Whittaker and Nachuti, whatever his name, Gatwa as Doctor Who. For fuck's sake. What is wrong with the world? It is an inverted, crazy world. Abby's sat in her studio going like this. Jesus, when's he going to let me on? Andrew Mills, where have you been? Where have you been, Andrew? I go in every week. So where's my milk? Where's my eggs? Where's my fucking honey? Where's he gone? Where's Andrew Mills gone? We miss you, man. Come down. We've got the red light bed coming. Andrew has been coming to Live 5D Health a lot over the last year. And maybe we'll get him on. I'd love to get you on, actually, Andrew. We should talk about your experience there. Yeah, red light beds coming in, UV light beds coming in, big expansion going on there. If any of you were franchise inquirers for Live 5D Health, it's all happening. It's taken 6 months for us to get an agreement that is 3D, 5D, covers both worlds. And we've got big plans. And so, yeah. Lisa C from Indianapolis, Indiana. There's a lot of Indians in that sentence. Debbie Cavell, how you doing? Bath. Spoon and Magoon. That's a great one. Leora 11111111. Hi from Newcastle under Lyme. Not been there. Oh, Selena Donovan's here. Hello, Celine. How's it going? My love to Galway. I'm going to come down to Galway next week. My eyesight's going. Ramona Bergen. It's actually getting better because I do that pearl powder with castor oil on the eyelids before I go to bed. Christine Chambers. That's a bit freaky because I used to go out with a girl called Christine Chambers. It's not you, is it, Christine? Hope not. Beth Rendell, South Wales. Lovely. Good to see you again. And let's tell you what. Shall we get my guest on? Hello, Abby Wynne.
Sitting here like I'm watching you on the show, and I forgot there for a minute that I'm actually on it as well. So it's nice.
You are. Oh, somebody's from Macedonia. Hello, Molika65. I've got a funny story about Macedonia. I think I have anyway, because I went to Corfu once, and we were up in this huge house overlooking the sea. And one night, me and a bunch of witnesses saw a load of UFOs in the water, zipping about in the water. And literally around the corner was the Rothschild house. And the story, what I realized is Corfu is a bit like one of those villages in the Dracula films where all the villagers are like, don't go up near the castle because the master will get you, like that, except in a Greek accent. And this big fucking house, huge house with big superboats outside of it, you couldn't get to it unless you knew the way, kind of thing, and the Rothschilds were there. And we saw these UFOs in the water, and we were there for about half an hour just watching these white lights zipping about in the water. Nobody ever believes my UFO stories anyway. Oh, hello, Roseanne Jacks, Lucid Dreaming. How are you? Not spoken to you for a long time. Pierre de Trois, election day in South Africa. Yes, so we got a good bunch of people here, lovely bunch of people. Abby Wynne, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. It's nice to get a couple hours off from all of your text messages every 5 minutes. Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this?
Well, yeah, I mean, we should explain. We're here mainly to talk about this, right, which is our book, and but also to talk about the whole process of this, because this is a preview copy. This isn't available as a physical book yet, but it's something that how did this start? You rang me up about 6 months ago, said people are suffering. We need to teach them about spiritual protection. Do you want to write a book with me? And I said yes.
Pretty much.
And then I completely revolutionized the whole book publishing industry. Didn't I?
I'm just watching to see what's going to happen next. I'm having great fun with this.
Well, I did, didn't I? We just completely...
We do have to share that when we did get together to decide what we were going to write about, there was that moment when we were both writing exactly the same thing at exactly the same time in exactly the same document. And we were almost writing over each other. Do you remember that? And then we stopped and looked at each other and said, okay, we definitely have to do this book.
That's right. I remember that. And I love the whole process, actually. And I'm very proud of it. It's a
Hi, Celine. I see the hello. Hello, everyone. It's really great to be live.
Yes, Celine, I'll let you know if I'm nearby coffee, babe. That'd be nice, actually. Yeah, it's a really good book. It's a really good book.
Did we really write this? I think we got a bit of help from, upstairs.
Oh, we definitely did. Shall I read the back of it, or do you want to read? You read the back of it, because yeah.
Yes, I have one here too. I think there's only two.
Read the back of it.
Are you sure? Because I mean, we didn't write the first thing that's on the back of it, so.
No. I know. Read that as well.
Okay, it's literally a guidebook. This bit.
In fact, no. I was just thinking, let's play the foreword first.
Yeah.
Right. So the foreword. Let me just find it.
Can you find it?
I have a recording of the foreword here. Here it is, from our good friend. Here she is.
Foreword for Abby and Mark's wonderful new book by Janine, as in Tarot by Janine. After first reading this book, my first thoughts were, they should change the title to A Light Worker's Guide to Ascension. Just kidding. I first met Mark in person in October of 22. I had flown to Texas to be part of Louis Herm's Truth Tour 2. Mark and I made fast friends. He was very open, almost childlike in his honesty.
What?
We spent hours discussing what was going on in the world. I couldn't think of anybody else I'd rather have spent all that time with. I learned so much from Mark. I felt I've known him for many lifetimes. Mark introduced me to Abby when I came to England to talk at his Manchester event in April 23. Abby and I connected right away also. Abby brought me to visit some very magical places in Ireland, which opened my heart. Her kindness and nurturing struck me. Even though I was traveling alone, I felt completely looked after. Back to the book. Mark's wisdom comes out through his words, his
Wisdom.
humor, and his ability to truly show his authentic self in a clear way. Abby is a true example of the divine feminine. When they told me they were writing a book together for star seeds and light workers, I knew it was a great idea. You got to know it's a great idea with those two. And to be honest, with these two, you're in such good hands. This book feels like the essence of what I truly know of both of them: their humor and nurturing kindness, honesty and love. These two absolutely could walk all of us light workers through these trying times. Everybody needs to read this book. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you do too. Sending ravens. This is Janine Morigeau.
That always touches me. I've heard it quite a few times, and every time she says it, such nice things. It's like practice receiving, practice receiving, receive the love.
No, I'm not very good at that either.
It's
I'm
really hard.
Talking about me? You sure she knows who she's talking about? How much did you pay her? How much did we pay her to do that? I can't remember. Nothing. It's a joke.
It's priceless. There's no way we could pay
Thank you, Janine.
for that.
Thank you so much. Well, you know, when we put it together, Janine was the only person on my mind that I wanted to do the intro, because I'd had such good chats with her in the States about creativity and books and art and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know if many people know. Most people just know her for tarot reading, but she's an amazing artist, and she has a deep appreciation of stuff. And I was very, very pleased that she agreed to do the forward. And that recording there is from the audio book. The audio book that we've done is about 8 hours long.
It's about that, yeah.
So I want to explain, because people are saying, where can we get the book from? Gary Denton. I'll answer that question. So I was very, very keen to make what's in this book available for everybody, right? And that means regardless of income, because I can't stand putting things out and then people saying, oh, it's all right for you, I can't afford this. So I tried really, really hard to find a way of making the physical book free plus shipping, because it costs money to print these things. But the shipping, the nightmare I had with this book, because I chose because it's heavy, and I chose to not. Yeah, I know. I chose to not, but it's good though, isn't it? I chose not to publish this on Amazon, for lots of reasons. But the big problem with this, when you publish it's a small book. This sold thousands of copies, but that's nothing. You know, you can't print it in Australia for a bunch of Australians that I don't know how many that's going to be, because the shipping costs for this to Australia is more than the bloody book.
Yeah,
it's nuts. So I wanted to make this one available for people that couldn't afford it, but we couldn't do it with a physical book. So what we've done is we've made it possible for you guys to get the ebook and pay what you want. If you're broke, pay nothing. If you're not broke, pay what you want. And what we've done is a page for that, which I've put a link in the video below for that. And I'll just put it on the screen now. That's the web address for that. Okay. So if you want to go there. And the other thing that we've done is that while we were producing this book, we knew we wanted to do an audio book, right?
Mm-hmm.
But did we want to give that to Amazon? Well, I said, no, let's keep it over here. And then Abby, she's unbelievable to work with. She's like, yeah, leave that with me. 10 minutes later, oh, I've just written a 75-page guidebook to go with it. I'm like, what? How did you do that?
Well, for me, it's about the work. It's about making it as easy as possible for people to do the work. There's no point. I mean, when we were reading this out for the audiobook and the stories that we're sharing and everything, they're real and they're going to normalize it for people. And it's, you know, it's all great. You know, you saw demons, I saw demons, we saw angels, but what do you do in the moment? So we wanted to give them more than just that. So with the workbook, I've turned all the exercises that I share in the book into a project that you could take a whole year or 2 years or 3 years to work all the way through, but to go in and have a pathway and a structure to work with yourself so that you get stronger. Because when all of this stuff happened, what I really learned was that we all have our own innate spark. We all have our own innate wisdom, and we light up. We do things our own way, but many people don't know what that way is. Many people don't even know themselves, who they are. And healing is when you let go of all the parts of you that aren't you. And I know how to help people through that process. And I really want people to be strong. And I'd love to have a fight with people who don't agree with me, as long as they're in their power and not just parroting off stuff that's from conditioning, you know. And mostly what we see in the world right now are people who don't even know what they're saying. So it's nice to be able to, I don't mean you, it's just nice to take all those layers away so that people can stand in their true power and look at each other and go, oh, that's you. I see you. Oh, that there's a phrase now. I see you.
Why don't you just go nick it? Everybody's nicking we see you, so might as well. Which I'm very happy about. It's all good. It's and this is the point, right? So the link goes to a page, and on that page we were like, oh, hang on, we've got an audio book. We filmed the whole thing, so there's like 6-7 hours worth of video as well. We're like, well, how do we deliver that anywhere else? We can't. And then there was the workbook, the guidebook, and then there's your meditations,
yes,
healing meditations, and what else is there? There's something else, but the point is that you can go to that link.
Club.
Oh, the club, yeah. Because the other thing was,
because this is my fault. My problem is I can't just leave people. You know, it's like, what do we do with them once they've started to do the work, once they've read this and some stuff starts opening up? So to provide support every month. So that's our club.
Well, yeah, not just that, but it is an evolving journey, right? So when we wrote this, I mean, do you want to read the back blurb?
Oh, yes, you asked me to do that already. Spiritual warfare is a very real thing. Abby Wynne and Mark Attwood agree that the COVID era is really a disguise for the biggest spiritual awakening in human history. I'm waiting to see a typo here. My heart is going to go. You said this was the most edited book in history.
Oh, it is. You wouldn't believe the amount of edits.
They decided to combine their knowledge to create this most practical of spiritual books to help anyone who feels that things ain't what they seem. This is in no way a religious book, nor does it require you to adhere to any dogma. It serves as a jumping off point for those that agree that we are spirits having a human experience and not humans having a spiritual experience.
Well, that's the key to everything, really. And I mean, that's why this show's called Adventures in a Cosmic Suit, because it is an adventure. You know, the 4 years that I've been doing this show have been like, oh, let's look at this, let's look at this. And then of all the crap that happened. I mean, one of the things, let's just look at the page, actually, because I don't know if when I put this together, I was like, I need to tell the story a little bit, because you don't know how much people know. So this is the page where you can go and get the ebook for free, and you can get the other things, and you can pay for the ebook if you want to, and you can afford it and you think it's worth it. It's totally up to you. We don't police it. So, excuse me. So I started telling the story here about the CIVID and going into this, but then I was like, hang on, why am I qualified to talk about this stuff? And it's not because you can't go and get a degree in this, right? It's not like you get a certificate or anything. And then so I'm just going to read these out. So these are the things, the kind of abuse I've had since 2020. I had a demon on my back that was so heavy I had to crawl up the stairs. The fuel lines on my car were cut, and me and 2 of my children were only saved by a guy in a white van who pulled up next to me and told me to wind down the window. And I was like, what the fuck does he want? I eventually went down the window, and he said, fuel's gushing out the back of your car. I was like, Jesus, you know, he saved our lives. I had covens of witches, 10,000 witches actually attacking me in my dream state nightly, not just my dream state, my waking state. The demons come through friends and family as well, right? This is something I've learned big time in the last 4 years. I think it's always happened all through our lives, because I do actually think the whole human race has been demonically possessed forever, and this is what this process we're going through now is, getting away from that. And that's why we've written this book, to help people get away from that quicker. But you know, friends and family shunning and attacking me, and I think a lot of people relate to that. The usual tribe of troll and shills online, undermining everything I ever posted and hurling abuse at me. I mean, I had 3.5 million people call me a turbo nonce on Twitter 6 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago.
Yeah, but look at what Ella just wrote in the comments. You two.
Well, I can't. I'm reading this. What
I
was that?
know, but you know, we need to talk about this openly so that people realize that this stuff is real and it really happens.
Well, that's why I'm reading this, because this is my personal kind of version of events. And now I've lost the screen. There it is. I'll just go through this and we'll come back to the comments. Like very often, daily, for 3-4 years, waking up in the morning and feel like I've been 9 rounds with Mike Tyson. And I know a lot of people who watch this channel have had similar experiences, like we've been fighting in the astral, and it appears in the physical as well, in 3D. Being regularly infiltrated and sabotaged by people purporting to help me out. Now, that was a massive lesson for me in terms of boundaries, and I'm not mentioning any names, but it's been, you know, everybody's there for you. You know, this is the key to that. I'm not slagging anybody off, but it happened a lot. And then all my online accounts, like, you know, YouTube, PayPal, Linktree, Facebook, etc., being closed down, or me being locked out. And that's really kind of like my story in a nutshell, in terms of like what's happened in the last 4 years. But before that, a lot of people watching this would already know, my earliest memory is demons trying to recruit me in my bedroom in 1973 during the miners' strike. And strange, and we go into this in much more detail in the book, but you know, you and I, when we met, we connected over this kind of thing, because you've this spiritual, you know, I didn't become a spiritual healer, you did, but very similar experiences.
You are one.
Well, I don't go around. I was speaking to a guy tonight, and he said he was the student of a Hopi grandmother, and there's a quote he said to me. He said, "People should have names given to them, not them tell them," if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I mean, there's, you know, I run a healing center, so you know, and I know the power of word and vibration and frequency and the poetry and all of that kind of stuff. But it's not about us, you see. It's about God coming through all of us. I'm not just talking about me and Abby, and raising, you know, shaking this parasites off. That's really what it's about. But how do you do that? You know, how do you do that in a structured way? So that's why I like this book, because, you know, there's 11 chapters, and we start with, are demons real? Who are the good guys? What is ascension? How do you know you're being attacked? Identify your weaknesses. What is in your head? What are you putting into your body? The armor of God, weapons of mass protection, and spiritual fitness, and then the greatest truth of all. It's a good read. It's a good. I was actually surprised how good it was, and when we did the audio book,
So was I. No,
I was like, oh, this is quite good.
there's so much in it, and because we were being our real authentic selves in it, we're not holding anything back. We're sharing real things that really happened that disturbed us at the time, to open up that conversation that nobody, you know, that we want to have. And obviously putting some of your poems in here too have been amazing.
A few new ones as well.
Yeah, you have a new one in there.
I'm
looking for the blackest goo, because my daughter Megan did some of the illustrations for the book, and I just realized where the poem is, the blackest goo, I've got a picture right beside it of somebody covered in black goo, and that
what page is that?
I'm trying to find it. I'll keep looking for it. But yeah, it's just amazing.
That poem, I don't air it very often, but because I did one of the early talks, live talks I did just after the lockdowns, was at was at a castle, and I started reading it. I played the video of it, and somebody got really upset. It was like freaking
There
them
you
out.
go.
Yeah, which page is that, Abby?
It's page 95. The poem is on page 95. Yeah.
Should I read it out?
I think you should, because this is what we're trying to do, is teach people how to scrape that shit off them.
Can't
So it's
swear. It's a spiritual
Great
book.
poem. Yes, spiritual people don't swear.
They fucking do.
Fuck off.
I'll read this out.
That's in the
actually.
book too, isn't it? That's in the book.
It is. It's all in there, and it's, you know, it's not a preachy dogmatic book. It's a kind of, because the other thing is, me and Abby don't agree on everything, and that's also good, because I don't, you miss the world where people didn't get offended by what you had to say, and actually learned from you when they had a discussion. I miss that
And
world.
respect each other's differences. I mean, where the heck is that word gone? Respect.
I know, it's crackers. I'm going to read The Blackest Goo for the crack. I have to do it close to the microphone, like egg.
I won't make faces while you're doing it, I promise.
Okay, well, I'm reading this. I won't be able to see your face, but I'm going to do it like Edgar Allan Poe. The blackest goo, it comes at you under cover of night. It whispers gently in your ear. It takes away your light. To loving friends, you look the same, but your essence is gone. Where once was high definition is now a picture faintly drawn. The words you speak are incoherent. Your song is out of tune. Its darkness consumes and eats away till you're wailing at the moon. It tricked you into believing that all you say is true while salivating on your soul. Beware the blackest goo. Ooh.
It gives me shivers.
Not read that for a while.
You know,
It is
I have
like
a poem in here too.
Ella says it sounds like the graphene oxide. I think that's probably what it was. Probably what it is.
Could be in form.
Yeah. So, I got to read Carol Marie Frieson's copy of Godwin's. I loved it and was amazed by the beauty of the poems. Jane Kerr. Now buy your own copy.
Now you have a book that people can afford to buy.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point.
That was mean.
Well, no. I mean, that's the point, right? So what you were saying is true. So we wrote the book, and then there's exercises in it. There's jumping off points. There's research.
There's push-ups and jumping jacks. No,
there is. You know, this is a practical guide. That's what it says. It's a practical guide. So it is a conversation between me and Abby, but it's structured properly, and the structure, it makes the book actually really readable, and it gets to the point where, and you know, it's not every single spiritual protection technique in the world, but it's ones that we know and we've proven work with ourselves and lots of other people over the years.
So at the back we have a list of exercises, because my sense of it is that people will read the book and then they'll remember there was an exercise that I think I need, and then they won't find it. So I put the list of exercises in the back, and I'd like to just look at one in particular, if that's all right now that I know what page it's on. And it's great because the exercises have a bounding box around them so they can jump out at you as well. But this one is called Removing Psychic Viruses. And I think it's really important because I know we disagree on viruses. You think they don't exist, but this is a psychic one that attaches into your brain, but it can also stick anywhere in your energy field. And you pick it up from the internet. You pick it up from watching YouTube. You pick it up from your phone. You pick it up from people. It's amazing. And so this gives you an exercise as to how to remove them. And like we say in the beginning of the book, you might really need all of these exercises right away, but you can't do them all at once. You have to be patient, and then you have to do them on repeat. So you can imagine combing out the psychic viruses, right? If you have really knotty, thick hair, your comb can get stuck in the hair. So you have to make a bigger comb. And we go through all of those different steps in the book. And then that's why I recorded those meditations, because I think some people learn quicker from audio and some again from the video, which is why we have the video. So that's why I think we wanted to have all the range of the different options there.
Well, that's also why we set up the club, because the club is like a monthly Zoom webinar thingy with us, because I can see this evolving, you know, and there's people out there watching this who say, well, I know this technique and I know that technique. And we want to collate all of those, and we want to bring in other people that, you know, experts from around the world, and get their opinions, and start building a database of spiritual protection techniques. And actually, we should bring out an app, spiritual protection app. That's an idea. And just help people along, because what I've learned doing this show over the last 4 years, many things I've learned, but one of which has been the power of sharing these stories. I mean, even when I share a story, it's like, even if it's a silly one, it helps people along, because that we need stories. That's part of being human. And when you hear other people's stories, you know, this could end up, I said to Abby, I think this will end up being a series. We'll probably do an expert edition. We'll probably do an expanded spiritual protection handbook, you know, see how it goes, you know. But that's what I see here. And I know there's a lot of really good books out there in the world, but I think we've created something unique here, which is, you know, it's got a sense of humor. It's and
Well, you know what's really interesting, Mark, when we were looking for the categories to put the book under, I looked up spiritual warfare, and it was all Christian biblical.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything like this. There wasn't anything that said there is a spiritual war. You need to get your power back. You need to get stronger. These are practical things you can do. These things are real. And I think when something weird happens with a why weird, you just push it out of your mind. You pretend it didn't happen, and you bottle it up, and another one and another one. So we're actually holding on to those things is taking our power from us as well. And we're in denial. And we see this everywhere. We're in denial of being that spiritual being in a human body.
Well, you know, a lot of content, especially from spiritual publishing companies, one of which I'm not going to name on here.
Which one of my ex-publishers?
I think everybody knows who I'm talking about. A lot of those, you know, companies, I think, have been limited hangouts. So, you know, a limited hangout, for anybody watching who doesn't understand this, the Catholic Church is a limited hangout. The Medbeds cult is a limited, that upsets people, is a limited hangout.
Yeah.
The RV cult is a limited hangout. Anybody that stands up and starts preaching and pushing some new technology is usually creating a limited hangout. And what that is, it preys upon this need within us, so this spiritual need especially, that we hand over our power to somebody, and then they've got us in a ring, like a limited hangout, or a kind of ring fenced us. And that's how religion has worked. It's ring fenced billions of people, because they are spirits having a human experience. So they're humans having spiritual experiences in their mind, and they're like, they need that fulfilling. And then somebody turns up in a dog collar and a dress, and a load of little boys hidden in the back room.
You know, but we talk about the New Age movement in the book, and that's a similar thing. There's plenty of these New Age spiritual teachers who give you enough truth to hook you in.
Yeah.
But then you're hooked in some way, even energetic way, and then they take some of your energy from you, and then you need to keep coming back. And it's almost like another cult or another religion, where they keep you trapped in this. Whereas I never did that. I mean, when I set up my private practice, I think it must be, 14, 15 years ago, I just decided, you know, okay, if I have a whole load of people coming and going, that would be great. I'm not keeping the same clients hooked in for the next 10 years coming to see me every Thursday, because then they're not getting better. And not very many people think that way. They want the client to come back every Thursday, because then it's a guaranteed income.
Yeah, but you see, that's where we're at.
Change that paradigm.
Yeah, but that's where we're at. And this is why I keep using the term bridge. You know, Dolores Cannon said people in their 50s now who are awake are bridges, you know, between healers and warriors. And that resonates with me. I mean, the healing center, you've been there here. somebody had to point out to me it's on Bridge Street and there's a bridge out the window because we're next to a river. And this theme of bridges keeps coming up. And it's like the time of cults and the time of religion, and it's gone. It's over. And it's just that not everybody's been to that meeting. So a lot of people don't realize this yet. And it's like, you know, when people go, oh, you don't understand, people can all heal themselves. Yeah, some people can. Some people are that advanced spiritually that they can literally turn themselves into a med bed and heal themselves. Of course they can. But the vast majority of humans can't do that.
This time that we're in is a bridge.
Because that's what I'm saying.
Between one time and another, between the old ways and the new ways.
Yeah, you know, that's why books are still important, because they are bridges, you know, and they help people go in. And what's that word I learned today? Oh,
you learned a word today.
Yeah, Helena Fleming came around and taught. She comes out. She's got an amazing vocabulary. She came out with this word that means stitches. I can't remember the bloody word. Helena, if you're watching this, type it in the comments. She came up with the word, and she defined it for my daughter today. She said, "It's somebody that's walking very clearly on a mission, but has absolutely no idea where they're going."
Okay,
it's a brilliant word, and
but we're kind of doing that in a way. Because we're bridging, you know, and I suppose in the simplest terms, we could say from 3D to 5D, but we don't know what the Ds are. And I think if we start labeling them, then we get stuck in that kind of a thing. But we don't know what the new world is going to be yet, but we're bringing as many people as we can with us. That's kind of how I see it.
Well, it's about holding people's hands over into this place and protection. You know, when we started writing this book, loads of things came back to me. Like there was a guy. It's a good story actually. There was. I'll tell it in the book. I think there was. I think it was about 2009, 2010. I think the crash had happened, and I was running a business in England, and I got a phone call from quite a famous person, and she said, "Mark, you need to speak to this guy, Jim." And I was like, "Do I?" And why? She goes, "You just do." And I was like, "Okay." And then this guy, Jim, was ringing my office 4 or 5 times a day. Now I don't react very well to that. I'm running a business. I'm very alpha male. I'm too busy. I've got a very big important watch on and a Jaguar outside. Who's trying to ring me? You know, I was like that. And I just kept fobbing him off and saying, tell him I'm out. I'm in a meeting. And then anyway, he eventually got a hold of me, and I spoke to him one evening on the phone, and he asked me, and I never met him. He said, "Mark, I want you to do something for me." I said, "What?" He said, "Imagine you're stood on the second floor window of a balcony on a stately home, and you've got one of those roundabout kind of fountain car parks and a gravel drive. And coming up the gravel drive are these post office vans, and they're coming into the house, stopping, and then they're filling up with gold and then driving off." And I was on the phone going, "Okay, what the fuck?" So I stood there and I closed my eyes and I pictured this situation happening. And in my mind, the post office vans, there were thousands of them going at 200 miles an hour, stuffed full of gold, and then driving off, going super, super fast. And this guy on the telephone went, "Mark, slow down." I went, "What do you mean?" He said, "The vans are going too quickly." I was like, "What?" So that, I was like, how does he know this? So, you know, and then I met up with him quite a few times, and he'd meet me in these really weird places. He'd take me to these stately homes again, or old houses with restaurants and stuff like that. And then he'd over lunch, he'd say, "What can you see in the kitchen?" And I'd be like, "What do you mean, what can I see in the kitchen? Do you want me to go to the kitchen?" He said, "No, stay where you are. What do you see in the kitchen?" I go, "Oh, there's a little girl in there." And he'd go, "Yeah, she died in 1727. And I go, "What?" And then, I mean, he just told me some amazing stuff. But I also learned I didn't know what he was doing, but I just knew I had to keep meeting him. But I describe him, I think, as my Obi-Wan Kenobi, because he was giving me skills, especially protection skills, 15 years ago, that were preparing me for this time. But I didn't know that then. And that's the beauty of the way this life works. You get the teacher arrives when the student's ready, even if the student doesn't know that they're ready.
even if the student doesn't want to answer the phone.
Well, you look at
Luke,
Luke Skywalker was not, was he ready?
Yeah, but that's part of the process, because
Yeah.
once you answer that phone, you're answering the call. You can't go back.
Yeah, when
But
he got
what's
to me,
happening now, I think, is people want it now. They're ready now. They're not running now. In fact, lots of people are like, please help me. And they come looking for the people to help, which is another reason why I asked you to do this with me, because I think our energies combined are quite powerful with all the different experiences that we've both had. I mean, as a therapist, I bring in a lot of the client work, some stories from things that have happened, to a main variety of people. I want to just read this comment here by Harbinder Renata, who says, therapy keeps trauma alive by constantly giving energy to the issue and keeping the therapist solvent.
Well, what is the word therapist? The rapist. I noticed that 20 years ago, and I stopped going to see them. I don't like the word therapist.
No, I don't either. It's a violation of boundaries, and it's just, it's time to empower everybody. It's a new paradigm. It's really exciting, actually, because it's possible to do it. It really is. But people have to want to do it. I mean, you can't make anybody do anything.
Well,
So,
if you told me that I'd be writing a book about spiritual protection and a book called God Wins 10 years ago, I'd have spat my tea out.
well, that's why, I love the workbook that I made. I think on the page we say this is the hardest work of all, and it's not for everybody. But I'm not doing it to create this mystique around it. It's true. I mean, you might not be ready yet to do it.
Well, it is actually, I always play it down, and when I started writing the book, and I remember these things, I'm like, oh my God, it's actually been really hard.
Mm-hmm.
This whole process has been fraught with difficulties, but I just bounce out of bed every day and go, right, what's next, you fuckers? Let's have it.
Yeah, but when you get rid of that weight, the psychic weight, you're able to bounce out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting. And also I want to just explain to people who are watching that I said earlier that I kind of reinvented the self-publishing business, and I think I have. And just before, I know I have. And what I did on that, because I have a background in this stuff, and I was really trying to figure out, how do you do this? And because I learned years ago through my internet marketing career, which was very extensive and deep. I would often meet people who say, well, I sell loads of widgets on Amazon and it makes 200 grand a month. And I'm like, well, how much of that do you keep? And then they tell me, and I go, that makes you an Amazon slave. And they're like, what do you mean? I sell loads of them. I say, yeah, but you're not making any profit and you don't know who's bought your products. It's like,
What was the first thing you said to me when you asked me where I put my books up? And you're like, yeah, but you're not getting anybody's email address. You can't write to them.
That's why, guys, you watching this, the link is on the screen and it's in the description below the video. Just go and get the ebook, even if you don't want to pay for it. Just go and get it. Then you'll be on our list and we can communicate with you. If you want the other products that are there, get them. It's entirely up to you. But you can get this book, the ebook, the full PDF version of this for free today in that link. But underneath there, I've also done something. I'm not showing Abby this yet. I was doing this just before the call because we discussed doing this for anybody watching that is a content creator or wants to be a content creator or wants to be an author or is an author and is not happy with the way that's gone for them. Because I was alluding to the publishing companies earlier, but I didn't finish what I was saying. And that is that the majority, and this is what I meant by the limited hangouts. Most of the publishing companies of the world are limited hangouts too, and they are mind control companies, right? So,
well, can I just say, after having had 3 traditional publishers and then self-publishing, that you work just as hard for yourself as you do when you work with them, and they don't actually do that much for you. I mean, I've got one really successful book because that book is part of a series of books and they're doing the work with the whole series. And it's not about me at all. It's about them making as much money as they can out of it. So,
well, we look, that self-publishing masterclass We've not made it yet, but if you want to get on the email list, the link is below this video. Just put your email in. We're going to do this fairly soon. We've already mapped it out. We know what we're going to talk about. Abby is amazing at certain things. I'm amazing at certain things. You put the two together. That's why we've set up a new publishing thing.
Can you show them the logo?
Yeah, I just showed it. It was on that page. It's also on the.
It's really small.
Yeah, well, I don't want to. You don't need to be too big. Okay. But we set up 104 Publishing, and because we do, we make a really good team, and we're not looking necessarily for manuscripts from people, but we can teach you things. I think what we've got between us is an absolute masterclass. I've been a publisher since I was 18 years old. I've been publishing magazines and books for years and years and years, in various different ways. And Abby's written. I mean, God almighty. I don't know how she does it.
100 million books now, yeah.
This thick, so, and there's loads of ins and outs to it. But the biggest problem is that somebody goes and publishes a book on Amazon and they get nothing. And then Amazon doesn't do any support. There's no way of incentivizing anybody. They don't understand the value of what they've produced. Amazon doesn't give a shit. They just get paid for printing them and distributing them. So, if you're interested, sign up to that email list and we'll email you in a month or so when we put that together. But so spiritual publishing companies, right? Limited hangouts. They have corralled people. And I tell the story, I was telling this story the other day about Think and Grow Rich. And if you haven't heard this story, Andrew Carnegie, who was like Bill Gates of the time 100 years ago, he commissioned this guy, Napoleon Hill. All Freemasons, right? Commissioned him and said, right, we want you to write this book. We want you to write this book, Think and Grow Rich. And he gave him his Rolodex, which is an old-fashioned word for a contacts book, and sent him out to talk to all of his rich friends. And I think it took 16 years to write this book. And Napoleon Hill came back with the manuscripts, and Carnegie did exactly what the Council of Nicaea did to the Bible, took the bits out, left enough in to whet the appetite of the people that wanted to read it, but took bits out. This technique was copied many, many times, including with The Secret book, which was basically a copy of Think and Grow Rich. It was on Oprah, for God's sake, right? Oprah, the child trafficker. So, you got to ask yourself the question. Although I'm surrounded by books, how many of the books that we've read are limited hangouts? And the limited hangout is when 90% of what you're hearing is true, but 5% of it is not true. Or
the most fundamental piece.
Yeah.
That they
a fundamental piece.
Or they throw in something that's a lie to keep you going around and around in circles, like a dog chained to a post, and you can't get past that. Because when you believe everything that they tell you, because you're hooked in, then you believe the lies as well. So
Roseanne has just said she's just finished a book she wanted to self-publish, and a friend of mine who's an editor told me not to be crazy and don't do it.
Oy.
Well, that's, is that a friend? I mean, unless they're giving you practical advice, I mean, the naysayers, you got to ignore them. But yeah, I mean, it is a little bit crazy, because I think 90%, I'm making that figure up, a very high percentage of books out there on Amazon, the authors are earning nothing. A lot of them can't quit their day job. And they like, well, if I earn a few quid, it'll be all right. No, it isn't all right. If you writing a book's hard.
And what's really interesting as well is when I published my trilogy, I had a meeting with an Amazon expert for the Amazon adverts, and he told me not to do it. He said I'd be spending $500 a day on advertising, and I would never make the money back on sales. That was really weird to hear, so obviously I didn't do it, but.
Well, this is the hard thing. I mean, before COVID, one of my best friends wrote a best-selling book that generated over £1 million in sales in the UK alone. And he was given a commission by the publishers of 50,000 quid. That's 5%.
Yeah.
5%. He was very happy because 50,000 quid was a lot of money to him, but the publishers made all the money. And they'll say that they earned it because they connected with all their other friends in the network. And this is what we've got to get. This is why we have to break away. And you don't need a publisher to give you the approbation. I've been saying this since I started
I
my
think
show.
they know that now. The publishers are terrified
Well,
because
they're going to go out of business. I mean, you don't need the approbation. You don't need permission to start a YouTube channel. You don't need permission. It's like when I was writing comedy and stuff, it was like, well, we've got to get a TV series, you know, and we'd wait for these rejection letters from the BBC or ITV or whatever. And then it'd be like, oh, why have they rejected us this time? Well, because they've got an agenda. They've always had an agenda. It's the same with the publisher. I wrote a play in 1996 based on my time in the RAF. And it was a good title. It was called The Mess, as in the officer's mess, right? But the mess, because it was a mess.
Because it was a mess.
Because I was writing about the mess that the military was in back in 1996. And I sent it off to loads of theatres. And I remember I got this letter back, a rejection letter from this, I can't remember which theatre it was. And the director of the theatre wrote me this lengthy thing saying, yes, it's very well written, it's very good, it's very interesting, and there's lots of drama, and you follow that. However, have you considered changing the story to fit this narrative, which was about, I don't know, new men or something that was going on back then? Are you a new man? You know, that was very big back in the 90s, which was the beginning
It
of
has to always fit the narrative. I mean, I had to have a whole chapter in one of my books about, are you a victim? What's the benefit of being a victim, and how to step out of victim mentality? And they wanted me to change all the language because, you know, you're not allowed to do that. So
Yeah, well,
that's the freedom of self-publishing, is you can publish what you want to say. You can keep your authenticity and what's true for you instead of bending for somebody else's narrative, which
yeah, but this is what, you know, God showed me this when I got headhunted to work at the Daily Telegraph, and I got there, and my job was to create a kind of offshoot of the Telegraph for younger people because they knew their demographic was dying. And this guy was actually grooming me. I was actually being groomed, but I didn't know that at the time, right? And I had this conversation. I had a number of memorable conversations with journalists, but one of them was this guy was the editor of the Gay Times in the 1960s, and now he's working at the Daily Telegraph. And I'm like, you're a gay man, you edited the Gay Times, and now you're working for this right-wing newspaper. Are you what? I said, most of the readers hate gay people. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I get paid a lot of money. And I said, well, you know, but what, is it a good job working here? He said, well, I've worked here for 30 years. No, I think it was about 66, 76, 20 years he'd worked there. He said, I've worked here for 20 years, and only once did they not edit the title of his article. Once in 20 years.
wow.
And I was like, wow. And that's when, and I was very young, and that's when I realized, oh, all media output goes through layers of filters, and those
There's
filters.
a very well-known journalist, ex-journalist in Ireland, who basically said that he learned how to write so that they wouldn't edit his pieces, and he felt like he was getting a tick, you know, like in homework at school when you did well done, and they tick, and that the least amount of edits, he felt I did a great job. And then he thought, but I'm not actually writing what I want to write. I'm not writing about what's really going on. I'm writing to get rewarded by not having them change the writing, you know, and it's conditioning, really. It's conditioning. So,
well, you know, so many children are conditioned, including us at school, to react to that thing. This is why I say to my kids every day, have a great day in prison. Question everything.
Put that in the book. It's in the book too.
Have a great day.
I think it's in the variation.
It is fucking true. I literally say it every day to them. And thank God my eldest daughter's left before these bullshit exams. My other daughter's looking at doing something else. I've got the boys left. But you get conditioned into getting this tap on the head and the green tick and the red pen. You know, the red pen is all
And
part
the authority.
I don't know if they still use red pens in schools, but I did a meme about 15 years ago saying the world is run by red ink and yellow paint. Because people drive around towns going, I can't park there, I can't park. You can't park there, mate. Right? Why not? There's some yellow paint. I mean, that's what it is. It's yellow paint.
What about all these bollards now to keep us off the road and stop us from driving?
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's like they've given you this much, now they're giving you this much, and now this much. And, you know, it's that thing that you take an inch, they take another inch, and then they take another 3 inches. So it's time for us to say no more.
Well, that's
you can't do that if you're not strong.
I've been saying that for long. Exactly. I've been saying it for a long time. And that's why this is a very useful book.
Yep.
There you go. There you
There
go.
you go.
I've said it. There, I've said it. Said my
Yeah.
piece. Yeah, and also, yeah, I mean, good point there about the printing cost, because all the the cost of printing books is probably doubled at least in the last 3 or 4 years. The same as building materials have doubled, tripled, quadrupled. It's not what it was. You used to be able
And
to print.
posting them as well is expensive. Posting books, you've already mentioned that,
It's gone
costing
through
more
the
money
roof.
than the book itself. So
Yeah, so if you want to support us, go to the link bit.ly/mass protection with capital M, capital P. The link is below the video. You're supporting us directly. If you want to get the
are you
print on,
supporting yourselves too? Because there's
yeah,
so much in this. I mean, we wrote it for you.
yeah,
So
and and you can't say we're doing it for the money, because you can get the ebook for free if you're broke. But the other stuff, it costs money to make, so pay for it if you can afford it, and engage with it, and come and join us in the club as well, because that would be a lot of. I'm really looking forward to that side of things, because I want to hear people's stories and start collating them in a kind of organized way, because my show is never organized, but working with you, I have to be organized. It's a bit annoying, but it's a bit like working with a
come on,
teacher.
I'm not that organized.
No, you are the. I was saying the other day, I was
I'm
saying, oh my,
efficient, but I'm not
I've
organized.
never worked with anybody who's as efficient as you, ever. And I've worked with thousands of people. I'm like,
I'm
it's
not gonna
like
say.
even before I finish the sentence, you've got, there it is. I'm like, fuck, what?
Well, I had fun making memes. Can we start sharing the memes?
Yeah, well, do you want to put some up?
I don't have them right here, but yeah, we'll put them up in our telegrams and stuff.
Oh no, let's just get it. Let's dig a few out. I've got some here, I think, or maybe not.
Memes are fun.
Problem is, I download so many things every day, I can never find anything.
And then my son said to me, well, I said, are these any good? I said to him, and he said, well, your audience, meaning they're not for him.
Yeah, you can't ask somebody if it's not for them. It's like, I showed this to my girls, and they were like, "Oh, that's interesting." They don't
Well,
want. They don't want to. They don't want to say, "Oh, that's
well,
cool."
you see, that's the thing. You see, you've been taking all the hits, so they didn't have to, really.
Well, no, I think they've taken some hits too, but yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a deeper conversation for over dinner. By the way, how's Ian get on with the magnet? Is he still? Is he
Yeah, he's doing great. He's doing
brilliant?
great. Speaking of conversation over dinner, yeah, that was incredible.
That was
It
incredible.
was.
If you're watching that, we went out for dinner, and Abby's husband said he'd got this pain and he had it for 6 or 7 years, and I don't think he'd mentioned it. I think he was just in agony. And I happened to have one of Rachel's
Primer cube.
primer cube magnet things, and I just handed it to him, and the pain went away in a minute. It was incredible. So I'm going to get Rachel on to talk with a few other people that have experienced that. That was interesting, because she sold so many of those that PayPal kept all her money for 4 months.
Oh my gosh.
Literally a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. This is what we're dealing with. This is all part of the spiritual war, actually, which is why I mentioned demons on my back, fuel lines being cut, but also things like being kicked out of PayPal and Facebook and stuff. That's all part of it, because the technology is part of the whole demonic. I'm reading people's quotes at the same time.
But we can use all of these against them. We can use them for ourselves. And when you are powerful in your power and you set your intention for things to go your way, they can do. They do. I mean, I have to say, out of all the books that I've written, there was the least amount of interference with this one. And this one is the one that we're writing about demons directly. I've had difficulties. I'll give you an example. I wrote the whole manuscript for How to Be Well, and I sent it away to my editor to be edited, and it came back and it was translated in French. Just when she pressed send, something happened to it. And then, I don't know if people are familiar with Word documents, but there's a whole load of code in the back. And so when I changed it back from French to English, it just kept glitching and it kept sticking, and that didn't happen with us with this. So that's because we're in our power. And we're determined that this is going to go ahead. And I think that to be able to offer that to other people to apply over a wide range of different things is kind of exciting.
Well, if it, as I usually say, if it helps one person, we've done our job. And that's the thing. It's not about being a guru. We're not gurus. We're just people like you that have experienced stuff, and we're good at putting stuff together and writing. So let's just do the bit that we're good at. Other people watching this are good at other things, and go and do that. That's all fair enough. Nobody's above anybody. I think that time's gone, and that's what I like about when I read it, when I actually saw it in print and read it. I was like, oh shit, this is actually quite good. You know, that's the thing that amazed me about it, and that's the thing that I've been trying to share with people and teach people for quite a long time. Even before COVID, I was doing that in my business career. It's all back to this thing about approbation. You don't need it. You just got to have confidence in yourself and understand that you might not be the world's greatest expert on a subject, but if you know a lot about it, then you know more than 99% of the population. So get it out there, get that information out. I mean, the course I did a couple of years ago, which was called "How to Monetize What's Already in Your Head, Create a New Income Stream, and Become Sovereign Quickly," was kind of going down this road. But there's new things that I've learned by going through this process with Abby to create this. So if you are interested in learning how our process, then the link is below. Don't forget to sign up for the email, and we'll be in touch soon.
Yeah.
Oh, Aussie Kerry is swearing. Good on you, Aussie Kerry. I'm not going to swear much tonight because I'm on YouTube. I've got to behave myself.
Andrew wants a signed copy.
Well, I'll yes, good man. I'll sign.
We have to sit together and figure out how we're going to do that. But I think
no, because Andrew comes over to the healing center, so I can meet him and just give him one.
You're going to give him one in the healing center.
We're just waiting for the printed copies to arrive. I will save one for you, Andrew, because we do very much appreciate your. I want to talk to you about your milk as well. That's a private conversation.
Too much information.
It's milk. That's all it is. There's no double entendre. It's literally the milk that he brings along. Amazing. Anything else you want to add before we go?
That's funny. Yeah.
Oh,
I have this right here. That's hilarious. I'm just excited. I think what we've done is proven that you can have high quality stuff when you make it yourself. And we certainly have looked at some new technical things that are available, and we're still going to be learning more, I think, over the coming weeks as we go into marketing, and all of that marketing stuff is going to go into our course as well.
Oh, so no, there's a lot of it. Absolutely. That is the biggest problem people have with books, is they haven't got a clue. They publish them, they go, hey, tumbleweed.
Why isn't anybody buying them?
Well, that's the other thing. You get so attached to your product that you assume everybody else is going to be excited about it. And
I saw a guy, the poor guy had a whole setup in the supermarket, and he had all his books out, and it's a beautiful display, and nobody was coming up to him, and nobody
gives a shit. They don't. I've been teaching people this for years in marketing. You have to scratch the itch. Hardly anybody bought my film. I was gutted. I was like, this is a really funny film. It's a really good documentary. But hardly anybody bought it. Cost me 30 grand. And I think it made about 5. And I was like, oh, it was another lesson for me. I was like, oh, fucking hell, what? I went to all this effort because nobody gives a shit, because it's not doing anything for them.
I don't know. I think it'll do well as to stand the test of time. We have to be patient as well. Like my book, How to Be Well, people are only ready for it now.
Sorry, I've just got to answer this comment. Christine says, are you publishing the bookmark to buy? The link is on the screen. The link is below the video. I don't know. It's on the screen. It's published. Go and get it. Thanks, Roseanne Jacks, for buying my film. I appreciate that. Yeah. But
they'll be there. They'll be there, and it'll be bought. And we just, we are in the book. I mean, this is something that came up for me today. We know it, we love it, everyone needs it, but as we're concerned, but they might not be ready for it now. I mean, this one, yes, I think this one, the timing of this one is why I'm so excited. But I think a lot of the books that I've written, people will be ready for them over the next few years. So just to allow. I mean, but the energy behind it will send it where it needs to go, and having all that good intention is really important. So,
well, the process of doing it and the joy of bringing it out is wonderful. It is like giving birth. I do love creating something and putting it out in the world, and you never know how these things touch people. I've been absolutely blown away over the years from the things people have said to me about, and you have no idea because you're just doing what you do. And this is why I love doing this. And also, it's a great example of collaboration. You know, I think if you can collaborate with people, you create something that's more than the sum of the parts, which is also a wonderful thing. So I'm very proud of it, and I'm very pleased to have worked with you on it. And I'm looking
well,
forward to
thank
seeing
you.
where.
And you and I have both managed to talk for an hour, and we haven't had any testimonials on the book yet. So I'm excited to see what people are going to say about it. That's what I'm excited to see, because I'm looking forward to hearing that. And then we can come back and share those.
Yeah, cheers, Aussie Kerry. Yeah, I think you're right. It's ahead of its time, really.
Yeah.
Depends.
Yeah, but I was going to say, when I went to Manchester to sell your book, my condition was that I could sell my books too, which you let me come then, which was great because that's when I met Janine. All my How to Be Well books, they all sold really fast, but they're 10 years old.
Well, no, okay, so that comes back to a marketing lesson, which again I shared with my daughter today, because she came up with this business idea, and there was a really simple story. I don't know if tell me if I've ever shared this with you. So I'm going to give you a hot dog stand, and I've got a hot dog stand. Both hot dog stands are completely identical, but you are allowed to change one thing about your hot dog stand that will allow you to make more money than me. What would that one thing be?
The hot dog.
What about it?
Have a different one to you.
And why would that sell more than me?
I don't know.
See, everybody does that. They always go to the features. The answer without
give
keeping
away for free. No.
Well, you're not making any money then, are you?
No, go on. Tell
Although
us.
that goes into the law of reciprocity, which I could talk for hours about. But no, the answer is very simple. You put your hot dog stand in front of a hungry market. That's it. That's why you sold loads of books at my event in Manchester, because everybody in that room was like, yeah, I love this woman.
That's why the guy in the supermarket didn't have anybody, because everyone went there. They wanted to do their food shopping.
Who the fuck wants to buy a book when they're going shopping? They want their fucking oven chips and their fucking lottery cards and their fags. They don't give a shit about some guy with a book. I mean, it's nonsense. Send me to that supermarket. I'm going to slap him around the face with a fish.
You probably couldn't afford to set up for the second day.
Well, that's the thing. It's so demoralizing as well. I mean, that is actually really good. I'm glad you brought that up, because when you do something like this, you just have to let it go.
Yeah.
You know, I don't give a shit. I don't care if we sell any. You let it go.
Can we look at this comment here?
Yeah.
Papa Rick. The first Facebook review.
I forgot I can share some of these. Let's have a.
The first Facebook review I got about my book was that nobody's interested in your insignificant shit.
No, exactly. That's true.
But
isn't it?
There is always somebody that's interested in what you're doing. If you've written a book and someone says your book is, no one's interested in your book, no one that they know. And you think about everything in frequency, it's frequency matching, right? So the people who will.
There's another term I came up with.
Which?
That's another thing I came up with that everybody's nicked.
Frequency matching phrase.
Yeah. I could dig out a video and I prove that no, I'm joking. Carry on.
Well, Ian used to do that. Ian used to say a catchphrase, and then we were living in a little town when we met, and then the catchphrase would come all the way around the village, and we'd hear it in the pub spoken by somebody we didn't know.
It's the monkey nut theory. It is. Carry on.
But I said this to my dad when I started out working, and he couldn't understand it because I was doing Reiki. I was doing Reiki healing. And if somebody was coming to me for Reiki healing and then they stopped and they go to the woman across the road instead of me, I wasn't upset, because I was feeling that while they got what they needed from me, and now what they need is from them across the road. And Dad is like, what are you going to do to go and get that customer back? And I'm like, I'm not. So that's 5D business. Somebody else will come to me who needs what I have. I don't need to go chasing particular people down. And
none of us do.
In the flow.
None of us do. I mean, there's nothing less attractive than being chased by somebody, is there?
No. You become the flower and the bees come to you.
Now, that reminds me of a line from With Nail and I. Do you ever watch that film?
No.
Everybody should watch With Nail and I. I know
Well, I've heard about they made the best wine in the world. I've heard about that line, but
No, bring me the finest wines known to humanity. No, it's a Richard E. Grant and Paul McGann and Richard Griffiths, made in 1987. We should definitely do a movie channel, and we should do a watch party. Anyway, it's got most quoted lines apart from the Blues Brothers, and there's a line in it where Richard Griffiths is this dirty old bastard who's trying to get into bed with Paul McGann, and he's just flirting with him, and he's a big fat guy with a tweed suit and a bow tie, and he's like, "The daffodils are merely prostitutes for the bees." My favorite lines. It's very funny. It's a very funny film.
my brother loves that one. I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, if you like English humor, you'll be good. I don't know. We've done an hour and 11 minutes talking about a book.
Let's hang on for 11 seconds, and then we could go. Look, we're live for 111.
No, it doesn't work. No, that's forcing it. It doesn't work.
Yeah, true.
Can't do that.
Oh, look, there it is. Oh, it's gone.
Oh, fuck. I missed it. The numbers. Look at the numbers. Oh, God. 36, 24, 88 Trump.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to do that.
Tom. Yeah, I couldn't resist it.
No, so, Tom, you're going to have us on your show. There, I've asked him now.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be good.
That'd be lovely. So I'm going to say goodnight. It's been lovely chatting to you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks for all your comments. Links are below the video. Take it or leave it. We don't care.
Well, we kind of do. Well, take it.
Take
it and get empowered and shine your light brighter.
Oh,
you don't have to buy all the other stuff.
I'm not selling it very well, am I? Yeah. We don't care. Fuck it. No, buy the book. Buy the ebook and all the other stuff. All right. Okay. Cheers, Abby. I'll see you soon. We're doing another show. We're doing another show tomorrow with the SGT report, by the way.
That's right.
It's like promoting a book. It's like being on tour. Brilliant. All right. Lots of love, everybody. God bless you. See you soon.
Bye. Bye.